Just making sure everything was working. What color should this be? Shit. I think just black. But the color on the stickers doesn't match the black on the car. Is that my TV making that sound? What the hell? Also, what's up, Ricky? It is my TV. 1 second. Don't worry, it's not my video game TV. I mean, for me, I want it to match the same gloss. For me, it's important. I know it means nothing to other people, but you see how, like, the black of the vinyl is, like, blacker than the... And I can't, like, match the gloss type. Fuck it. If I can't match the gloss, then I'm going white. I'm gonna say white that doesn't look like white because of the game shading. Sorry, I know it's such a pedantic thing to even give a fuck about, but honestly, why the fuck can't you match the same gloss? Also, you see my guy just walking? He's grooving. I like that. That looks like some actual Formula Drift skins. Oh wait, you know what I forgot to do? I wondered why something seemed off. I didn't put any body parts on it. They don't have a blower? Oh yeah, of course, it's a freaking muscle car. They even got the funky blower. I think aerodynamics actually makes a car drift worse, so I've been trying to steer away from using the fender pieces. Because unless it says cosmetic only, it can actually affect the way the car handles or drives, putting body parts on it. Like that. That can add slightly more downforce towards the rear and change the way the car handles. Like I said, unless it says specifically that it is cosmetic only, it has an effect on the car in some way, shape, or form. Unless it is like, I mean, caliper color obviously has no effect, but I'm pretty sure some of the body panels and stuff like that do. I mean, hell, some of them actually widen the wheelbase of your car. And if you only widen one side, then you can dramatically change the way the car is supposed to handle. I don't want carbon fiber, though. Is that non-carbon fiber? Yeah. There we go. Almost forgot to do that. That almost makes it look like a smile. You can only put 9 different rims on this car. 2 of which look identical. Wow, 1 tapers more. Whoa, such a huge difference. They don't have any good rims in this game. I'll be honest, out of all the car customization letdowns, the lack of rims, or lack of unique looking rims, like the old Enki and stuff like that rims, which have the angled spokes in them so that it looks like knife blades. I like those ones a lot better. This thing has like a Need for Speed assortment of wings on it, but not one that's just a tiny scoop. Alright, we only got 1 more car left, and since there's no more drift cars to buy besides Lamborghinis, this will be the last drift car until they release more. If they ever release more. Sorry, wrong button. They keep fucking releasing street cars. I mean, street race is the most played discipline, but that's only because it has the most races. And the most cars. And because when people just drive around normally, they use the street cars because they're the most, like, normal driving cars in the game. Every other car has its own weird mechanics and shit. Like driving around in a drift car. Bug eyes. Hello, ma'am. We'd like to interest you in the bug eye upgrade. See, this is what I mean. This makes the car more stable, making it less likely to drift good if you put this on it, because it widens the front wheelbase and lowers it to the ground. That changes the way the car fundamentally drives, lowering it that much to the ground. I will put the rear fender on it because that will help it lose control and make it more drifty. And we'll go bald wing. Look at how fat that rear tire is, jeez. She's built like a truck and goes beep beep when she back it up. Jaman. Oh, wait. Actually, the khaki sort of suits it in a way. There. Give it a matte khaki so that the vinyl show up better. Nice. Hey, there's no more flying fucking monster truck. Every time I used to leave that garage for like a month and a half, there was a fucking monster truck that'd just glitch out and fly into the air. That was like the ghost of another player that glitched out and the servers had never dumped his files or some shit. It's like Ubisoft, don't you play the live version of your own game? Oh shit. I forget this is bone stock, so. Oh my word. I think actually putting the rear fender on it was a mistake, like I said. I think it made it too stable. I have too much rear footprint. Yeah, it's so hard to do a slight drift. It just does not want to... It just wants to turn now. I just made a race car that slides good. That's all I've done. Sorry, that was my analog stick being stuck. I might have to lower the tire grip like I did on the other car to make it drift good. Why do you keep giving me suggestions for what I should do with my channel? Just a couple weeks ago, it was you telling me off for not being what you wanted. God dang it. Yeah, it still needs more slippery in the fucking rear end.
3, 2.
Hold on, I need to abort. I clicked the wrong one. I always think you can use the menu with the analog stick, but obviously you can't. Or else you wouldn't be able to turn. No, I need more power. I might actually be doing this thing a disservice by strengthening the rear because it's got such a low rear profile. It's actually getting there. Maybe just stiffen that. The sway is good, it just needs... Yeah, it's there. What do you mean? How is anything contradictory? Damn it, I saw that
Pero a
coming.
mí no me batirás jamás.
Oh my god, I freaking... Why do drift cars gotta have such sporadic grip, man? I don't even know what you're talking about. And Ricky probably doesn't answer back to what you're saying because he doesn't feel or think the same way as you, maybe. I don't know, that's just a guess. Oh my god. I'm a good driver.
3, 2, 1.
Lo peor de derrapar es saber elegir el momento adecuado.
God, that... I don't understand how people have the highest point drift in the game on this track. When there's like giant straight sections like that. Like, you know what my favorite part about watching drift races in real life are? Watching the guys go back and forth like this on a straightaway. Because there's no actual turn on the track to do anything on. Like, come on. Since when the fuck are drift courses set up like that? It bothers me only because this car is stock. They only do that because when you're fucking driving the Lamborghini Aventador drift car, having those long sections are good. But when you're driving a fucking unupgraded RX-7, it's like having a giant straightaway in between two drift sections is terrible. Like, what am I actually supposed to do there, setting up for this turn? Unless you have fucking 700 horsepower, you're never going to be able to come around that turn fast enough to do anything. It's just like these ones. What are you supposed to be doing in terms of drifting these? The turns are too nothing for a low horsepower car to do fuck all with. Like, clearly this track was designed with the fucking person who was making the track using a max upgraded car as the example and not one that was like mid-tier. Because it's like, I can't even get up to 60 miles an hour off of the line to do the first drift in the same way that I do when I come around the track on the second lap. And trust me, boost does not help, because all boost does in a drift car is do this. It just makes you spin your freaking tires. It doesn't help set up for anything, because it just is that. It's just boost. And because boost in this game isn't just like a speed boost, it's your tires spin uncontrollably. Like that fucking guy who keeps coming around is starting to really fucking annoy me. What am I supposed to do? You don't have enough horsepower in low horsepower cars. And the game won't give me the fucking stupid drift parts, which are the only parts you need. Because I totally need boost while jumping in a fucking drift car, you fucking dumbass ivory tower dipshits. Look at that hovercraft! It's our game, we can do what we want to. It's what it feels like with this fucking game. Honestly. The lack of working headlights, no rear view or side mirrors that work due to physical limitations of the console, all because they want the ground to look the way it does. This is the exact reason I get infuriated every single time I talk to my friend Kyle and he brings up graphics when talking about a video game. If the first thing you bring up are graphics when talking about any game, you're playing a game for the wrong fucking reason. Period. Or you're making the game for the wrong reason. In the case of a shitty game developer, who gives a fuck if you have 100 additional polygons per car? Who gives a fuck? Make the fucking game have working damn headlights. If you're gonna remove your nav line, dumbasses. I'm sorry the nice people on your forums who have tried to tell you to change these things back to the way they were in the Crew 1 obviously can't get to you, but maybe and hopefully one of the people who play this game all of the fucking time and is the only reason why you have a fucking community will start ranting about this bullshit too. Stupid fuckers. How do you go from making a game like the Crew 1, which started out like dog shit, like this game, and finished as a great game, to literally repeating history? You couldn't just release Crew 2 in the state that the Crew 1 was finished in. No, that would be too fucking easy. You have to go an even more complicated route and somehow end up with even less than what you started with. Even though it's the same fucking map. You idiots. Unbelievable. Somebody needs to go to that fucking company and just fucking go with a stiff fucking rod across all of their faces. I don't care if it's an actual dick or not. Could be a fucking salmon for all I give a fuck. I'm done doing that shitty track. I'm content with the fact I'll never have a good score on that track. You know what my favorite part about watching fucking drift races are? The parts where they go over the bumps and then lose control of their ability to handle. Oh wait, that doesn't happen in real drifting because they drift on fucking courses and roads that don't have those problems? What? Unbelievable! It's almost like you can't drift on an uneven surface like that. Fuck boys. And then everyone's defensive response is, "It's so easy, why do you why didn't you do it?" They already did it. They already made a game with a bunch of other shit in it that uses the same exact map and half of the same physics. Literally the same. The only thing they did was change the way that certain graphics were rendered and update a bunch of it. And then proceed to remove the shit that they didn't update because it didn't fit in with the new thing. Even though the difference, like I said, is like that of a fucking 100 polygons on a model. You wouldn't realize it because our models already have too many fucking polygons for you to realize it. We don't need more polygons on the fucking cars. We need more damn polygons in the environments, you fuckers. Burnout Paradise looks just as good as this game because of it. Idiots. Blithering, drooling idiots. Kindergartners. You need a fucking 23-year-old directing your company, apparently, because your fucking 40-year-old one can't do it. Dumbasses. Maybe it wouldn't have ended up with people from Canada and Brazil not having their season pass content until almost after a month of the game coming out. Like, I can't ever want to say anything positive about Ubisoft Ivory Tower. I can't. There's no possible thing that you can say positive, because anything positive is met with 5 negative things that can be said about the company and what they've done. And all we're gonna get is a fucking shit tier hovercraft race, and then a fucking difficulty which is just gonna have like broken ass AI in it anyways, because they're not gonna fix the rubber banding. They said they are, and they act like, oh, needing to change AI is a complicated process that requires a lot of trial and error. Oh, so making an AI not literally slow down to 30 miles an hour when you fall behind, but also not go to 250 miles an hour up your asshole like a rocket the second you pass them? Because that's fucking just as good, dumbasses. How do you think games like, I don't know, fucking, what, Gran Turismo and fucking Forza and, like, Flat Out, you have fucking, even Juiced, for fuck's sakes. Juiced had better AI in it. And that was a shitty fucking racing game that was just like a fucking wannabe Need for Speed. And yes, I understand, you have to make a racing game competitive. But when you put easy difficulty, and those easy difficulty cars can still go just as fast as your upgraded car, because it's not based upon their actual upgrades. You have broken your system. I shouldn't be the person that needs to say that. There should be at least 3 people at your fucking company who should have rational enough logic to know that that's a terrible idea. Why do you think literally everyone complains about it? Why do you think people want the fucking nav line back? Are you retarded? And then they act like, it's not as simple as just adding it back into the game, even though it's literally just the same engine and everything. We could just add it back into the game and make it work like the Crew 1, but there are like a very slight fundamental differences about the way that certain things are rendered in the game, so that would mean we're gonna have to take 3 months to fix that because our company sucks dog shit. You know, what was funny about this is I continuously bring up Neo, because I used to give Neo shit, and I used to give a bunch of other games shit for doing stuff like that. But honestly, Team Ninja is also good in the regard where Team Ninja made animations for something called the Odachi. In the Odachi in high stance, you could do a square basic attack and then a triangle attack to do a finisher, which would do 2 vertical slices in the air. And when the attack first came out, the attack was almost unusable because the first square hit would knock the enemy further back than your character would step forward during the triangle animation. So you would very rarely ever hit either of the two swings. Literally less than a week later, the game was patched and fixed that animation, even though the weapon wasn't even used by half of the people who currently played the game at the time. They fixed the animation and made it so your character took an additional step forward within a week. There's no excuse from developers besides sheer laziness and excuses. It's bullshit. And it pisses me the fuck off to no avail. Because you can see when a company actually does give a fuck. And when they actually do jump to fix something really fast. And they all of a sudden do the thing that they said they couldn't do that entire time. It's just like an internet or a cable provider when they say they can't turn your internet back on, but the dude's just sitting there staring at a screen with the fucking thing and your fucking internet process being blocked by whatever protocol they have saying that you haven't paid enough money or whatever. And they're like, we're sorry, ma'am, it's gonna have to go to the system for 2 hours, even though our modern computers aren't slowed down by that at all. It's not like if you owned a business, we'd have it back on in 30 seconds because you pay us extra money.
Has dejado atrás al campeón. ¿Te has dado cuenta?
Shit, I didn't even see Hyro's messages before he left. It doesn't matter, I was in the middle of ranting anyways, which I'm still gonna do, because I fucking hate lazy-ass developers. And I'm getting so fucking tired of it. I really am.
Buenas noticias. Bushimura renomado. Y todo gracias a ti.
Look at Ubisoft's liveries in this game, for example. Ubisoft's default liveries don't even match up to half of the cars in the game, because they were just a livery made for one car that was then copy and pasted and then made able to be used on any car in the game. So 90% of the skins don't sync up on any of the body panels or parts of the car. And that's all because of their own livery designer being unable to mirror or place stuff over multiple sections of the car at once. And that is just, considering I can go back to literally the first Need for Speed Underground game and do exactly what I'm talking about on my car to put liveries on it, it just pisses me off. God damn you. Shitty ass Ford Focus. Seriously, who wants a fucking Ford Focus? Put a fucking NSX in the game that's actually an NSX and not the new shitty one. Fuckers. Put a Supra in the game for fuck's sake. Put something people actually know as an iconic sports car other than a 911. Before you make my fucking blood boil out of my eyes. From having to stare at god-awful fucking basic cars I can see drive on the side of the road every day. It's a video game.
Buenas noticias. Mushimura ha renovado. Y todo gracias a ti.
You got 1930s cars, but only one. None of the other interesting ones from that. Just one. Because that's so cool. Fucking... I just want to fucking strangle one of them dumbasses. I really do. Just Homer Simpson, just frickin' just back and forth. You see what you made me do? In reality, if you want to go fast in street race mode and make your car go stupidly fast, the only thing you should be using is this one. Or not this one, sorry. It's the opposite of this one right here. Where is it? Gotta have it somewhere. Right? No. No, it's the drag bump. Right here. Increases speed while ahead of a vehicle by 2%. This is the one that makes you go stupidly fast and get records. Stack all of that on a car and you go so much faster. Even though it's only 10%. What's 10% of 200 miles an hour? That's 20 extra miles per hour. I don't think people understand percentages over at Ubisoft, but then again, I don't think Ubisoft understands anything. I think the only thing they understand is how to go and suck on their thumb like a bunch of little fucking babies. Fucking retards. You watch me in the future, one of those dipshits is gonna watch one of my streams and go, yeah, I don't like this guy because all he's done is shit talk, banned from Ubisoft Club. Or Uplay, or whatever the fuck we want to call it. Now you can't play any Ubisoft game online. You bought a $100 piece of garbage game for nothing that we're gonna update and only make good after 2 years. After we finally listened to people, after our game died almost as fast as Destiny did. Or sorry, Destiny 2. Destiny 1 is different. But yeah. Fucking... Why am I using this piece of garbage? Get out of here. Get out of here, you stupid Ford Focus. Oh my god, it changed. fucking accidentally changed the thing. Sure, we'll do Airport Terminal E. After I go out and have a cigarette. Before I pop a goddamn blood vessel. From having to think about these goddamn retards. They is good car physics designers. They drive car to work every day. They know how car work. Car go vroom vroom click click shift. Whoops. Just trying to move my thing and it tipped over. I always underestimate how short the actual cord is for it. I'm trying not to yell now that I'm outside, not that it makes much of a difference. I want to drive a car through their frickin' studio. Drive a monster truck even. Then ramp a powerboat into it from the ocean. Drop it from my Pilatus on top. They're lucky the map is of America. I'd go to where their studio was in-game and just drive over the zone. Just spin my tires on it. I think that would be super funny, and I've always wanted a game developer to do it, though. In an open world game, to make themselves one of the dummy characters that are like walking around with their like real name and shit like that, and you can't kill them. They're just invulnerable, but you can just beat the shit out of them. Like they get knocked over by grenades and blasted around and ragdolled everywhere, but they don't die. They just get right back up and walk like nothing happened. They sort of did that in Neo, but he wasn't invulnerable. They made the director, or the guy who wrote the story for it, Ko Shibusawa. They made a revenant in one of the first levels of the game. And when they were doing a demo of it, they saw his name, or a bunch of the people saw his name pop up on the screen as the dead revenant. So you can fight one of the people, I guess you would say. And the same thing happened in the last Neo DLC. There were a bunch of characters that were the developers, or the developers' names, I guess you would say. Summoned when you have what's his name? Yukimura fighting alongside you. Sonata Yukimura. I've always wondered why they always go last name first in a lot of cases. For the English translations. But then again, we don't go like Kobayakawa-san normally. I need to use the bathroom real fast. I gotta, no joke, shave this mustache off my face because it's annoying the fuck out of me. Alright, I'm back, sorry. Needed to do that because every single time I would talk it would just make my fucking lip itch. Because I had like a sharp little hair that was trying to grow in or something like that, and every single time it would just make a little sharp poking feeling. So annoying. Hate facial hair. At least the facial hair that grows on my lip. It's so thick. Not like the rest of the hair on my body. Like my upper lip hair is probably the thickest hair on my body. Pulling one out makes me bleed every single time. Because of how deeply rooted it is also. It's so deeply rooted that I can feel it pulling from the inside of my lip. Some of the hairs are like close to a quarter of the way embedded. Like a quarter of an inch or so. And I have huge cuticles on the ends of my hair. So it's like pulling them out, there's a bunch of extra resistance on them. Most people would think that my hair has pus on the end of it because my hair has such a big cuticle. It's just because I have big ass hair follicles as well. I don't get several strands per follicle like some people do. I just get one big hair. It's like I tell people, my hair is thick and dense, but in a different way than what most people would consider dense. Like, my hair is not thick in the sense of its volume, but my hair is thick in the sense of, like, its weight. It's weird. It's one of the reasons why whenever people like ask me if they can feel my hair, I always let them. I imagine how it feels to be, I mean, I know this is going to sound weird, but I imagine how it's a person, how it feels to have like curly hair, how people always like want to run their fingers through your hair.
Has superado el récord del rey.
If I go out in public after like freshly washing my hair in the morning, my hair is all nicely patted down, none of the like slightly shorter strands that have gotten like snapped or something like that are like sticking out after it being humid and hot all day. I always get compliments on it. And people always ask me what I do and I'm like, nothing, I'm just native. And then they're like, you're native, but you have facial hair. And I have to do the whole spiel where I'm like, not all natives have no facial hair. People who are closer to the equator, who were in hotter conditions all the time, have a less likelihood of having facial hair. That's just how it is. It also depends on the tribe. I'm not Cherokee or Choctaw or anything like that. I'm Abenaki, which technically isn't even an American tribe in the sense where it's like they only really existed in the super northeast of America and were more Canadian than they were American in a sense. So a lot of my facial hair and everything comes from the French and Scottish in me. Because the Abenaki people, are like a complicated thing to explain, so I'd have to recommend just looking stuff up on it, so I don't have to try and spiel a bunch of bullshit that I'll probably get incorrect anyways. History and those kinds of things are not my strong suit normally. That being said, it's not like I don't care about my ancestry. It's just that stuff has so much, like, it has a complicated history, but there aren't a lot of people who know the real history, because a lot of the older people died or got, like, stricken with dementia or other things like that, so they're basically just, like, husks that don't even actually remember real facts half of the time, and they just, like, spout off extremist nonsense, which isn't anything close to what actually happened. What everyone in... There's a person in my family ancestry who everyone used to call Aunt Sarah, and there's a handwritten book by my great aunt. I can't remember her actual name. I have the book somewhere around here, but I can't remember what I did with it. Is it over here? Hold on. I just wanted to get the name of it so you guys could look it up, because it's written by one of my family members. So, Trudy Ann Parker, that's her name. That's the person who's a relative of my family. Here's a quote from the back of the book. From, like, something that my great aunt would have said. Water where a fish cannot swim and a horse cannot drink is water unfit for a man to drink or to bathe in. And just simple stuff like that. I mean, stuff nowadays that we would consider nonsense. But those are shit that those people practiced for, like, years. People want to act like that was something... Why do you think natives could live to be 100 plus? They weren't stupid, unlike fucking English people who put lead in their wine. Using lead acetate. Or not using lead acetate, but some did to sweeten wine. It was a powder substance. It had a sweet flavor. They used to use lead pots to make wine in. That would oxidize, and you'd get lead pieces inside of the actual wine itself. Not good. And I have a lot of medical problems due to, like, I guess natives and English people don't make good hybrids. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't think English people make good hybrids really at all. That's not a shot at English people, that's just me saying that their heritage has a lot of disease in it natively. But the people that have survived that long are pretty disease resistant, but they are diseased themselves. They're just diseased in a way where it doesn't kill you instantly. There were a lot of diseases brought over that used to not exist in North America for the most part. There's so many things that you can learn from people from that era. But yeah, just look up Aunt Sarah by Trudy Ann Parker. I don't know if you'll be able to easily find that book online. I don't know how many of the book was actually published. It was given to me because I'm a family member. I didn't pay for it or anything like that. Some people would probably find that interesting. I don't know. I guess I sort of undermine it because my family has always reminded me of that kind of shit for my entire life. But some people would be like, you have a fucking book written about your history given to you for free so you can learn about it. And it's like, yeah. I mean, Americans, I guess, have the same thing. It's just their history is taught to them forcibly and is distorted, whereas my history is told through people and books, which are now being phased out due to technology and stuff like that. Information is lost, and history becomes more askew faster and faster. It's like Neil deGrasse Tyson said on that one Hot Ones episode, and I've quoted it multiple times, how he's like, the internet has no curriculum or anything like that for people actually being honest, and there's no way to tell if someone's like yanking your chain or not. And like what he would want to do is like in order to stop the idea of, say, like the thing in question was the idea of flat earth, right? And it's like, it's not necessarily that he wants to stop the people from thinking that way. It's that you gotta stop what causes people to think that way. And that is the fact that when you go on the internet and you type in something, you find people who are going to support 90% of the time. When you type something outlandish into Google, you're gonna find someone who supports that shit, because it's way more likely that you're gonna run into someone who thinks like you when you're looking for something like that than someone who thinks different than you. And then being like reassured about that information only makes you think you're even more in the right, because you have this idea that there's like something that you know that other people don't know. It's just like how I was talking about the other day, where like radioactivity is a lot of the time misunderstood, and a lot of people, when they talk about atom bombs, don't realize that half of the scariness isn't even in the radiation, it's in the fucking shock wave. Those bombs vaporize. You don't just get the chemical warfare aspect of it. You literally get vaporized if you're in the explosion. That's not anywhere near the same. Like when everyone always talks about like the old big boy atom bombs. Those things were not made to be radioactive to hurt you, in a sense where it's like the radioactivity was just a side effect of them wanting to use a super powerful high, like in order to cram that much power into a bomb, you have to go radioactive. It's not even a matter of if, there's just not non-radioactive materials that can produce such an explosion. So they used it to create the most devastating style of explosion that you could get. Now that being said, you can have nuclear warheads that are used specifically for the purpose of being a nuclear warhead, but that's different than an atom bomb. Atom bombs are to vaporize. Warheads are what are used for nuclear warfare, like what was dropped on Hiroshima. It's not necessarily an important distinction to know, but there is a distinction in the types of warheads. Also in what goes in it radioactive, for actual like radioactive materials, like the difference between depleted uranium and an atom bomb.
Estoy impaciente por ver cómo lo intentas.
Darn it. Well, tarnation. I don't like misconceptions of things. I like real information. It's just like how he always talks about the fact that it's not necessarily that they didn't want Pluto to be a planet. It's just that when you're trying to be a scientist, you have to realize that we categorize things by what they look like. When Pluto doesn't look like a planet and it looks more like these other things, then it's these other things and not a planet anymore. Simple as that. It's not that they didn't want it to be a planet. That was what the media made it sound like and made them look like assholes when they were just like, hey, due to our like more recent research and discoveries, we figured out that Pluto looks more like these things in our solar system rather than these things that we said it did. And that was because of the telescope back then being unable to see the other ones at the time of him trying to look at Pluto. Or discovering that Pluto existed. It's just like how they had to recategorize stars and stuff like that. Like red and white dwarfs and stuff like that being a denomination of their power and what they look like. Like they had to follow that same stringency when it comes to making like the planets. So, or not making the planets, but making like the fundamental rules for what you use to describe those astrological bodies.
Buenas noticias. Mushimura ha renovado. Y todo gracias a ti.
Sorry, I'm just trying to grind parts like a crazy person so I can get drift parts on a lot of these things. No, I braked too early. Why did I do that? I'm just trying to do long, slight, slow drifts. Because that's what this car does best. Bests? What the fuck is wrong with me? Because you get the most points for doing that. Or not necessarily slow drifts, but there's like a happy medium that you can make to get way more points on a lot of these turns.
Eres imparable. El récord es tuyo. Buenas noticias. Mushimura ha renovado. Y todo gracias a ti.
You know, you know, I'm kinda sick of Spanish guy. So let's go with Portuguese. Oh my god. Well, I'm gonna stick parts on a lot of these cars anyways. Because why the fuck not? Here. You get a part. You get a part. Everybody gets a part. Yeah. Off-road control and boost while jumping. That is exactly what the doctor ordered. Doctor. You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round. Is the teen angst enough for you? Even though I'm not a teen anymore? I just sound like one. That's because I'm so short. Nah, fuck you, Ford Focus. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Ford Jocus. Explosion, mic drop. The mic hits the floor and it does the Aqua Teen Hunger Force thing where it just goes poof. That was always like, that gag is never not funny to me, and it's something I always laugh at when, like, for no reason he just chucks whatever object they have on scene and it just hits the ground and explodes, and it's like, well, that's gone for the rest of the episode. Like, whatever, like, if you thought it had anything to do with anything, no, it's just
Agora é você com você.
That's one show that always retained its
Esquece
characters.
os outros.
Almost fucked it up. Oh my god. I'm trying to like do too steep, too angular, too acute of drifts. I need to go more obtuse.
Você tá com um carro perfeito. Eu mesmo fumei ele.
Oh boy.
3, 2, 1.
Solte o seu motorista interior.
Thanks, dude. God damn it. I want to figure out a way to do that section and get a lot more points.
1.
Damn it. It's alright. I took some of the max multiplier stuff off, so I can't even get above my old score if I wanted to. I just need to get the cars up to 240 so I can start getting standardized parts. Which is what I should have been doing all along. This one I'm just gonna put whatever's the highest on it.
O Shimura vai ficar. E é tudo graças a você.
Maybe I need to, you know what? I wonder if this game is that backwards ass that what I'm thinking will actually make it drift better than it is. There's only one way to find out. And see if that has any effect on it. I like its stance now. brake really slows this thing down. How do I have my charger? Sorry, I've just been fucking doing that for like an hour. I'll do something different.
Three, two, one.
Lol.
Foi um contratempo. Mas será que vai ser só temporário?
Oh my word, I forgot that you can't drive over that.
Você tem que recuperar a vantagem. Pensa na decepção dos fãs. Passou do tio. Queria tirar uma foto disso.
An asshole AI.
Trânsito lento é na direita.
It's raw. Oh, hey, what's up, dude?
1.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of mods. I have one person that's a mod, and she rarely shows up, mostly because I don't play the game that she used to watch me play anymore. And then I had another mod, but he forgot the name of his account, and again, doesn't really watch me, because the game he watched me play I don't play anymore. So a lot of people don't like watching this stuff. Oh. I keep hitting those gardens thinking I can cheese it in this car, but this car is like so low to the ground I can't do that. Oh yeah, no, I've known Teddy for a while. I'm a bit more vocal than Teddy at times, though. You can even ask him yourself if you're ever just talking to him. He chats with me in a party all the time. He didn't for a while, but that's mostly because we both thought the other person was mad at one another when we weren't. I wasn't anyways. I had just left a slightly salty comment on one of his videos, but that's mostly because, like, I don't know, I always sound salty in text just because of the way that I always I put way more words into saying something than anyone ever needs to put it bluntly. That's why I always end up hitting like the text limit in the YouTube chat. And like when I say slightly salty, I just meant that like towards like what went on in the video more than anything else. And it's just like, it didn't really matter that much to me. It's just a freaking video game. I don't like video games all the time. Ubisoft is my least favorite company in the world. And yet I was dumb enough to buy a game from a subsidiary of them, thinking that they would somehow have made it better. And I'm playing it now. Even though I hate their company. Oh my god, I looked over at chat for a second. At the wrong time to look over at chat. I thought I had turned enough, but I don't have a steering wheel in my hand, so it's much harder to tell how hard I'm actually steering. Considering if you saw how little I was moving the analog stick a lot of the time, you'd be like, what the actual fuck? Because I don't think this entire race I've actually held the analog stick in a full direction. Like, I've not pressed it against the wall of the analog stick housing. Because this car oversteers so massively that you just gotta use like the little bips and baps of steering from the center. Because if you steer full in like that, I just did it there to save it, you turn so sharp and you lose so much speed. I did it once in that race, and that was to recover on that very last turn. But yeah, I'm like, here, I'll show you what the full analog stick looks like. This is like about a quarter, half, 3/4, and then that's full. That's what full looks like on the controller. So you can tell just based on that. I wasn't going like past here the entire race. That's why I have my steering linearity turned down. I can emulate a steering wheel pretty good with my thumb, but it's still like you don't get the feedback, so you can't actually tell like what little bit of angle you are, because it's like you can almost see the grittiness in the angles. That's also partially due to my controller, but you can see it when it snaps back too. Sorry. No, Ubisoft is terrible. They're just terrible. I would go over one of the reasons why they're terrible, but if you've never played The Crew 1, I'll just show you one thing that will make you understand. So in The Crew 1, the Chicago airport exists. This is the second game. You'd think it'd be an improvement, right? Nope. Instead, you get a big grass square where the airport used to be, because video games are about moving forward, right? Yeah, you can see the empty square with the road on the map. This is where the airport was in The Crew 1. I know I go over this every time, but like fucking Ubisoft needs to get it through their thick skull that it's not okay to just fucking delete shit and just leave an empty square of shit. It doesn't look right. This isn't Chicago. I'm sorry, you're not allowed to go more than 60 miles an hour on grass because it's one of those games. And no, it's not because of my traction control. That's just, again, Ubisoft. I just wanted to zone out because I'll show you even further why it's stupid. Because if I zone out and go to actual Chicago, you'll see it pop up on the screen where it'll say Chicago Airport. Just look at the bottom right hand corner near the map. I'll tell you when it will be visible. Alright, you see how it says Chicago Fulton River District? If I turn back around and drive towards that empty square, watch what's going to pop up on the screen. Chicago Airport. But there's no fucking airport. Not like down here where the airport is where you do the drift events. It's the equivalent of this, but just they deleted it and just put trees and grass there. Yeah. It's the same shit, because that's what they used in The Crew 1 for the same purpose. You'd use it for the drifting. Because they make the... I know I can't because it's fucking cloudy out in The Crew, but yeah. See, you have the drift course and stuff that goes through it and shit. It's just basically that, except for they just sucked it right out of the game world. And then there's stuff like this over here, where there's like a mock-up of the Laguna Seca, but it's not actually anywhere close to being the Laguna Seca, and there's no events or races that you can do on it. You can't even select it in like a list of tracks to play with a friend online, because there's no play with a friend online matchmaking mode. If you want to play with a friend, you have to invite them to your crew, and then you can only do any of the preset events. You can't make your own, and you can't select your own track area. Ubisoft. It's fucking amazing. Hard to believe the same company made a game like The Crew 1, which has more in it. And you want to know why? It's because of visual restrictions due to them updating the graphics, even though most... Like, a PS4 didn't change. The Crew 1 was a PS4 game, so they sacrificed the game having half of its landmarks and shit in it. No, I know. This game is completely fucking unfinished. What's funny is The Crew 1 has exactly what this game doesn't have in it. And that's the other dumb part. It's like they didn't even learn from what they had already done in the other games. And that's the, like, even dumber part. Oh yeah, that's right, I need to lengthen my gearbox. Fuck. I put it short for that other track. Yeah, and because it's like, it's got too much acceleration in that gear. Because of it. Making it hard to do these long sweeps. I'm having to like half press the throttle all the time. Oh my god, yeah. Saw that coming. You can see it push the front right tire out every time I press the throttle, because it just has too much acceleration in the higher gears from having a short gear ratio. The even shittier thing about this game is that they have good physics models for half of the cars. Like the Alpha GP and the touring car models actually function really, really well. There's 5 races you can do with these cars. 5. That's it. You get 5 races with 2 difficulties. And they're only 3 to 4 lap races, except for the hypercar races, which are for some reason the longest races in the game. Not the cars that are made to do 70 to 100 lap races in real life. No, hypercars. Because everyone loves driving a fucking Lamborghini. Just fucking blow my brains out. And they only have 2 Alpha Grand Prix cars. You get the freaking realistic one and you get the fake one. And that's it. And you want to know what they're adding in the next update upcoming on September 26th? You know, instead of just adding a bunch of races to the already existing disciplines that are missing races, that already have tracks on the map that could be used for races, instead of doing that, you want to know what they're doing? They're making a stupid discipline out of the hovercraft in that picture. An entire racing discipline. Because you want to know what you have wanted to do your entire life, and you just didn't know it yet? Hold on, where is that piece of garbage? Don't you want to just slide around going really slow? Yay! This is exactly what I wanted. Thanks, Ubisoft. Oh my god. Like, honestly, that company has to be one of the top 10 most retarded companies in the world. Top 10. Easily. I'd even put them next to EA nowadays, with just how sheer retarded some of their game design shit is. Where's my truck? Oh, there it is. It's good, dude. I don't care. Most people just call me Dob.
1.
D-O-B, if you want, but Dob. It's like Bob, but with a D. Flip the first B around and you got it. Oh my god. I'm so used to driving the Indy car. Give me a second. This thing has such slower steering than that. Oh. I wonder how many times I've hit that wall because I don't learn to not fucking hug the inside. A cheesy nerd. Oh boy. That chassis roll. You can't snap the steering in one direction on this car. Or truck, I should say. Oh my god, see, that's why. I really don't think one of these trucks in real life could ever be tuned to compete with a Pagani Zonda R. I just don't think that's a possibility, but maybe I'm wrong. I just don't think one of these stock car style trucks could ever drive that well around a road course like this. It only can because you can tune it in this game to make it handle unlike a real car. Like, these things have terrible lateral G's. Oh yeah, no problem. Sorry I didn't say bye. But yeah, peace out, man. Have a good one. Thanks for coming by. I was actually gonna stop soon anyways. And come back in a couple hours. Because I need to like do laundry and a bunch of other shit. But I'll come back afterwards. What was I gonna do first, though? Oh yeah, I was gonna pick up the loot from my mailbox. Because instead of it going to your already existing HQ, when it says it's sending loot to the HQ, it actually sends it to one of the disciplines HQs. So you just basically pick one and go to it, and you have to load to the HQ and go to a shipping container called the mailbox. It's so awesome. Instead of just giving you your fucking items anyways. Gotta have a pointless system. Gotta have a system that literally accomplishes nothing besides make you have to go to a place to pick up items that could have already just automatically went into my inventory. Freaking love it. And I hate saying that to people, because it's like that guy said. He's definitely not picking up this game. When you see this game at face value and you learn the history of the game, you can't trick someone into buying this bullshit. That's the only reason someone would ever buy it, not knowing the Crew 1. Unless they were like me and played the beta and thought it was like, oh yeah, the final game will have a lot more in it, right? Like, all of what I'm seeing isn't what the entire game is going to be. Right? Nope. All of the cars that were in the beta were pretty much the cars that were in the finished version. You couldn't drive all of them. You could test drive them, but you couldn't own all of them because you were limited on how high a rank you could get. But you could still test drive them, and you could see all the races for all the different disciplines. It's just like so pointless. They charged people $100+ in some countries for this game, and their pre-order bonuses and season pass stuff didn't work until a month after the game came out because of Ubisoft. And people wonder why I have such a harsh opinion on Ubisoft. EA at least gets you your fucking DLC on time. It may be shit, but they at least get it to you. It's unbelievable. Ivory Tower is climbing the ranks of terrible game designers. It's just like how they have bullshit physics in the game, where it's like monster trucks can nonsensically flip in the air, but normal cars can't. Why? Don't know. They just can't. Because it'd be too weird for you to be able to do a flip in a street car while doing a street race. Because doing a fucking 3-flip combo in a monster truck off of a jump is so much more logical. Because you know what my favorite thing about watching monster trucks are? Watching them ride on half pipes. Fucking nematodes. Freaking amoebas. Sorry, I just want to have a cigarette before I shut it off. I was bored, and I mean, I'm just procrastinating at this point, having to do shit. I was gonna do it before my stream, but I like streaming after I eat, so I don't end up eating on stream like I do sometimes when I don't. And as I've learned, trying to eat and play a racing game just doesn't work out, ever. Not unless you're playing like Need for Speed Shift on 360, or one of the Forza games that have the autopilot, where you can just have the shitty driver lose your positions for a couple laps and then come back and be incredibly disappointed as they've not only lost all your positions, but they've also ruined all your tires in the process, and have had to pit multiple times. Sorry, I was watching this freaking spider. Spider got nipped by another one or something because it's missing a leg. That happens with the funnel weavers, because they'll walk onto other funnel weavers' funnels and then get attacked. Especially the males. But they're more like tarantulas, in the sense that their males are pretty big. You can tell a male funnel weaver from a female funnel weaver based on the pedipalps. The little front things, which a lot of people think are additional legs, but aren't. They're just for grabbing prey and feeding it into their mouth. But I'll be back later, everyone. Peace out.